Welcome back to FaceItNet. In this video, I'm going to show you how to install Ubuntu Server 22.04. Of course, this is not just to install Ubuntu 22.04. The purpose of this, I'm going to do a file server configuration using Samba on this Ubuntu 2022.04. So to do that, first let's install the Ubuntu server. So I'm going to install the Ubuntu server 2022. Click try or set up Ubuntu. So here we go, it's just loading the Ubuntu server. I'm not using the GUI version, I'm just using the Ubuntu server, right? So it's a command prompt line. Of course, if you wish, you can install the GUI version GNOME on top of this to make sure that you have a web interface to manage it, right? Or sorry, it's not the web interface. You can have a desktop interface so that you can click and manage the server. And of course, there are web interface as well that you can manage it. I'll show that in another video, right? So I'll pick here English. And of course click without updating or update with new installer. So I'm just going to make sure that to have the latest version, so I'm going to say update to the newer installer, right? So it's just downloading the whatever the latest updates. So you can see it's just done, and now it's moving on to the next part to install. So here you select the keyboard. I'll leave it as default, and also the way to install, how you want to install the Ubuntu server, whether you want to install Ubuntu server or Ubuntu server the minimalized one. So that's mean like it got less packages, but then you have to later on go and install the ones. I'm just going to leave it as default because it's a server and it's Ubuntu. It's not going to really consume so much on my computer. So click next. So right now it's going to pick the IP address from DHCP. As you can see now, it's picked the IP address from DHCP server 29.132. Of course, my network is in NAT. In case if you want to see, you can see this is in a NAT mode. So you can see it's in NAT mode. So my network address is, if you go to virtual network editor, so you can see my NAT is receiving IP address from 29 range. So that's the reason I'm getting 192.168.29.132. So that's networking. I'll leave that part now, and we will do maybe another video on that networking part later on. So I don't have a proxy server here, so I'm just going to leave it. So I'm not going to, of course, configure proxy, so that's fine. So the mirrors to download the packages, default, leave this all. And keep in mind, I picked the virtual machine with the 30 gig storage size, and you can see it shows 30 gig here. I'm going to leave the whole 36 to install the operating system. Otherwise, you can just create swap and partition types later on. So again, I'm going to just leave it to default. Yes, confirm, done. Right, so as you can see, the way it's restructured the folder, the disk, I'm just going to continue and finish it. Are you sure you want to continue? Always you can see the continue is not selected, and up to now everything was green, but now in this point you can see they highlight in red because here you're going to format the disk, and if you choose this and at this, you're going to lose all the data on this drive. So you need to be very careful. So by default no is selected, just to make sure that you don't do a wrong or wrong or unknown errors. So make sure you choose continue, right? And then now it's asking you to provide the details. You can provide your name, right, and your server name. So you can say this is Ubuntu, or if I'm going to use this one for various purpose, I don't want to just put file server, maybe I'll install this some other services, so I'm not going to name it as file server. I'll leave it as Ubuntu 2204 just to make sure that the version. So pick a username. You can't have capital letters here, maybe that might be one of the error message. you can't. So it's the only characters permitted is that. So if you put capital S, it won't pick, so you need to be very careful. So A to Z, 0 to 9, so that those are the characters you should pick it. So let me pick the characters. Oops. Okay, my keyboard was turned off, sorry. And then choose a password, but I use always the default password to make sure that I do not forget the password. Say you can see your name has got a capital S, but the username doesn't have the capital S. That's a case sensitive characters. So I'm going to of course install OpenSSH in case if I need to do any SSH connections or SSH sessions. I always want to have the SSH here enabled. It's not telnet, it's SSH, so still it's secure. Continue, leave all default, right? I'm just going to leave this all default and I'll move on to install. So now this is just installing, so this might take a couple of minutes to complete. So once it's completed, I'll move on to start the Samba server configuration to set up as a file server. So keep watching and I will continue the Samba server on our next video slide.